All right, so before we begin today, I wanted to show you the new oversleeves, clear oversleeves that just dropped on the Sleeve Chief website. It's their first official oversleeves, and I wanted to show you their sort of vibe and feel because they are amazing. So they are completely clear and they make literally all your favorite cards look incredible. And the back as well, like they're not too big, it's literally Japanese size, and they are packed 70 pieces, which is amazing. And I really love their vibe, their feel, and they don't feel like they stick together. They're just amazing. Like in my opinion, they're really good quality. So if you want to order these sleeves or any other accessories, you have my affiliate link in the description box below, so you can easily get to their website, and of course use code shadow at checkout for 5% off your entire order. Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined by Ding Kong Pham, and his name was mentioned a lot in recent weeks with him popularizing the Melfi engine in Sprite, playing Anubis in Sprite, and overall just doing well with the deck. And I'm really excited to have you here today to talk about your approach to deck building, testing, and the game overall.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy that I'm here today to talk a bit about how I approach the game and also talk a bit about Sprite, my favorite deck for now.
All right, dope. So let's just go ahead and get started with it. You know, I want to talk about Melfi Sprite. I want to talk about Anubis Sprite, everything. I want to hear your thoughts about how do you approach your, I guess, choosing of tech cards in your deck?
Yeah, so to start with that topic, I get to shorten it up, I get most of my tags online, of course, just because there are many resources now. Then way back in the day, of course, we have so many channels. Also, the big guns like Joshua Schmidt, Jesse Cotton are doing YouTube now.
Yeah.
And DB Grinders also deep into it, and there are way more. So you are getting so many informations that will help you building your deck. But of course, most of them are rather generic with their content, just because they cannot talk about everything. Also, they have to keep some spice for themselves.
Very true.
So you have to look for like the more spicy stuff online. When you watch like smaller YouTubers with like 500 views, 100 views, sometimes they have really good ideas. They are often unrefined, and the deck lists they show are unrefined, but you can do it yourself. You can refine it, and then it will work. For example, when I discovered Melfi Sprite, it was, I don't remember, it was a really small YouTuber who played a really big Melfi engine, and I saw it and I was like, okay, it's a bit excessive that he plays so many Melfis, but I saw that you only need like the core two, which is the Catty and the Penny, and of course the XYZ to search it. And at the start, there were some people who also played the Playhouse, which is a trap that also bounces. But yeah, I cut it all down to the two Melfis, and I saw it during the Ishizo tier format, where I think it was Justin Stein who also topped the regional with that, but I just felt that Anubis was stronger, and it was stronger. So I kept it in my head, and after the Madness, when Elf got hit, I just saw that, well, people don't have Elf anymore. They are a bit scared what to play. They felt a bit hopeless and tried to make Toad, but Toad uses up like, yeah, you need to use all your resources just to make Toad and the double cross, and I felt like that's not it. So I immediately knew that I can always end on sprint and two bodies, which I also utilized in the format before, in the Ishizo tier format, where I decided to not use Elf that often.
Yeah, you didn't care that much.
Yeah, that was a bit unusual, just because most people, or every Sprite player I saw, was using Elf and Toad and so on. But the fact that you were just losing to the Ishizu engine with Toad, just because the shuffler will shuffle Toad away,
yes,
that fact alone was enough for me to not run Toad. And then I just saw you can always make sprint and have two bodies, and then you can go into something generic, which was Mannequin Cat at the time. Joshua Schmidt made it, or rather his entire team made it popular at the YCS Utrecht, where they played Runic with the Mannequin Cat, and I just took the idea put in the better target, which was Anubis instead of Testudo.
Yeah.
And yeah, that just run with it, and it was really strong. People were either not expecting Anubis at the first, of course. Also at the first YCS, nobody expected it. They were all holding the Bishtierts. They thought like, okay, I can out the thing that gets out of Mannequin Cat, and then I can summon out Bishtierts later. But then they realized, oh, they cannot summon the Bishtierts now because the Anubis also negates the Bishtierts, and that was really good. So my entire approach is also depending on people not knowing what my cards are doing, basically. Of course, semi-professional or like pros will always know about it, but sometimes even them won't know about it. But for example, like Malfi Sprite, at the first few tournaments, also when I won, of course, some switches and so on, people, of course, heard about it at some point. Maybe they saw a post of me and so on, but they didn't test against it because, of course, who wants to play Malfi Sprite just to test it? So my approach of them not knowing worked pretty well because they didn't know that, for example, the Malfi of the Forest also prevents them from attacking. They didn't know you can make the Merry Malfi that can bounce. They always think that you can only make Herald to negate, and they didn't expect the bounce, and so on and so on. And that's what I really like about my approach to the deck building part. Right now, for example, my last regional didn't went really well just because people were teching. They were actually teching against my deck, which was funny enough. I played against one guy. Yeah. For example, he played in Bishtier and branded that he played more Bishtiers and 6 books just to beat Ibli because he got beaten by my deck at the regional before that. He got badly beaten by Ibli. So he decided to run more stuff to out Ibli. And then I actually played against that guy, and of course I lost because he had 3 outs. And I was like, oh man. Now it kind of backfires that I was making content, but still. I really like to help people, of course.
Of course, obviously. But like, I remember before we talked about you not liking to play mirror matches. So what is it that makes you think right now, like, okay, a lot of people are playing Sprite again. Maybe you even inspired a ton of people. You probably did. So right now, when more Sprite decks are popular, do you feel like mirror matches are going to become an issue for a Sprite player that would have to sort of like adjust their decks accordingly again? Or do you maybe think Sprite is like falling off entirely in the next format? What's your thoughts on that?
So I think overall mirror matches, especially Sprite mirror matches, were always really sacky. There's not much skill involved besides knowing some basic interactions. But you can of course do more for the mirror match. Since I think my base build, which I posted many times, and many players are playing it, is already really solid for the mirror match. You're playing Gamma, Imperm, Ash, and Lockbird, which are all really strong in the mirror. And then I think the only thing you can only do to improve it is to side more stuff like Dark Ruler, which, for example, for YCS London, people actually did.
Yeah?
Before, nobody played Ruler because Ruler was only decent against Kash, or rather bad at the first. Everybody was afraid of blocking zones and so on, so Ruler was not that great, right? And overall, Ruler is still not that great, of course, even if they only go for a Rysat or not, because there are so many better spells to deal with the Kash bot, right? Or like straight up evenly is better.
But like it's busted against Sprite, obviously.
Yeah, but it's really busted against Sprite, and of course Runic too. But most people, when you just watch their deck profiles, they were talking about Sprite, and I think I had a huge influence in that too. But not only me, there were like wins. The Latin, I think the Latin YCS was it right? Was won by a Sprite Adventure.
Yeah.
And also there were also more wins with Sprite, so it got more popular.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, it kind of backfired, of course, too. There again, by making content more about Sprite. But overall, I think that's the only thing you can do to prepare for the mirror match. And for example, for the next format, I wouldn't even consider Sprite as a threat, just because you have to run all the hand traps, like Ghost Ogre,
to beat
which
other
is
decks.
to beat other decks like Ghost Ogre,
Yes.
Nibiru,
Yes.
Gamma. Of course, Nibiru is not that great against Sprite, but normally you should have another hand trap if you're running like 15, 18 hand traps.
True.
So that is really, really devastating for Sprite overall. So you don't have to tech more. You just have to tech against the combo decks, and that automatically will also tech against Sprite.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Moving forward, I feel like Cyberstorm Axis is just slowly going to push Sprite out of the meta, and that's why I don't really think Sprite should be hit. A lot of people might agree with me or disagree, but I feel like it shouldn't suffer a hit on the ban list because the entire meta is literally going to punish Sprite for existing. And also a deck like Purdy, in my opinion, feels like this new Sprite in a way, because it's this mid-rangey deck that really, like, I don't know, it's really different from a very heavy, combo heavy, super heavy samurai deck, or something like a Labyrinth, which is like completely something different. So yeah, what's your take on, I guess, the upcoming format? Are you more so looking at a deck like Purdy or something else?
So for the upcoming format, I'm testing Super Heavy Samurai, purely Sprite, of course, too, Kash, and also there are more combos like Gold Pride Punk, and Manadium, but these both decks are a bit worse than Super Heavy, so I think I would just continue with Super Heavy.
Okay.
And every deck has huge advantages, of course. They are new, they are full power, of course. They are all better than Sprite, to be honest. But then again, they also have really, really huge disadvantages. I think, I don't know if you may even make a video about it, but there are huge choke points in every single deck, which you can abuse with, of course, certain hand traps and also certain back rows. For example, like Super Heavy Samurai is really bad into Floodgate. Floodgates overall, not only traps, but also the rainbow.
The performable 5 Rainbow Magician.
Yeah, exactly.
That was just a meme.
And the thing is, like, Brand can get it super consistently by using the Brand Fusion.
It's amazing.
You get it not consistent, but you can play like Where Are Thou in Purely, for example. There are so many tech cards. You can, if you ever have to face a Floodgate, you have to draw you out, which is quite annoying because you're also not playing something like Pot of Prosperity or something in Super Heavy. So they're like huge disadvantages. Madadium has huge choke points in the combo where you can throw the one hand trap and sometimes they have to pass.
It kind of feels like a worse Super Heavy Samurai. It literally does the same thing, but like struggles.
It feels like that. And Super Heavy Samurai can also run more hand traps. So
true, it has a tinier engine than the Monodome stuff.
So from what I've tested so far, Super Heavy Samurai feels like just the best deck in the vacuum. But if everybody is targeting it, it feels weird just to play it into something like Nationals, where you will face Labyrinth 2 and
like just random stuff, I guess.
Labyrinth will FTK you basically. You have to deal with like set 5 if you're eccentric, and there are of course more removals, monster removals for spells and traps, but they are not that great. They are also most of the time single targeting. You can of course play something like Denko, that's also okay. But you still have to draw, then you don't draw any draw cards and so on, so it's really based on luck. Like really heavily on luck.
Do you think if the ban list comes, like I guess before Nat's season, do you feel like it should hit a deck like Kashtira, which was really dominant, or should it leave it alone in order for Kashtira to act as like a counterweight to Super Heavy Samurai and all of those decks? What's your take on that?
The thing about the ban list is, well, you talked before. You don't think that Sprite should get hit. I agree also because It will get hit, like 100%.
I mean,
Sprite will
it might
get hit
yeah.
anyway, and pure is dead. Like literally, pure Sprite is dead if they touch any card to 1.
Yeah.
But something like Cash has to go. It has to go not because the block 5 or something is oppressive. It's just has to go because if you don't hit Cash, the best deck is literally Cash, because you can also run like 15 non-engine. You can run Pot of Prosperity. You can, and that's the best part, you can run Shifter and play under it.
Yes,
which
of course.
only Fluonaries can, and Fluonaries is bad. So you have so many FTK like hand traps like Lockbird against all those combo decks, and Shifter on top, and that's what you have to think about when designing the ban list, I think, because if they don't hit Cash, every pro will play Cash like 100%, because Cash can also run 15 hand traps like every other deck. They have 1-card combos with Field Spell, they have Pot, they have Unicorn and so on, and they have to at least hit Unicorn to 1.
I mean, they might,
then the consistency is really bad with the deck, so that it might be just bad enough so not everybody will play Cash.
That's fair. They might do it, actually. I have a feeling like they might just hit Diablosis and just leave it. Or maybe like put Unicorn to 1, which would be cool.
From what I've seen and also from what I'm experienced, I never get hit by block 5, and block 5
people said that
isn't a problem next meta, right? As you said before, if of the same argument as Sprite, when everybody is main decking 15, 18 hand traps, you don't need to fear the block 5, because any hand trap will stop it. And then you only have to deal with a Rise Heart, which that is the main problem also, since everybody will be on hand traps. That means nobody will really play board breakers, and even if they do, maybe only talents, which means it's only a 3 of in your deck, and not like right now they are playing like Book of Moon, Talents, Thrusts, Enemy Control,
Yeah, that's true. But what about Kaijus? Like, people might still play Kaijus because of Noir, right?
Yeah, still, but it's only a 3 of. That's the problem.
Right.
And if that's like a 35% chance to open it, and of course you have to run Kaijus or something in your side deck for Noir. But still, if you don't have it, a Rise Heart will FTK you. Like, that's a problem about Cash, right?
It is.
I never thought that Diablosis was the problem. It was always their ability to run so many non-engine cards paired with the Rise Heart. That's why most people at the start, or like in the middle rather, decide to run a Rise Heart pass, right?
Yeah.
When they could or when they had to, they decided to block 5. But most of the time they still go for a Rise pass, just because it was the safest play, especially when you back it up with like Book of Moon and Enemy Control and stuff. So you don't have to feel like they will OTK you, and then if you survive, you just make your board again next turn. And,
I guess it was interesting.
That's why I think the approach that everybody goes with, like Diablosis, is nonsense, because Diablosis was never the problem about the deck.
All right. That's some unpopular opinions over here. Diablosis is not an issue, according to Ding Kong Pom. So, all right, no, I'm just messing. But like, I get your perspective. But like, a lot of times you will hear people say, I literally listen to some deck profiles. People will go, I did the block 5 all the time. Like, I just didn't care. I just played into every single Nibiru. I just wanted to do it because there was a lot of diversity, and you didn't really know what to expect. And I mean, they might hit it just due to the fact that there's not as much diversity in the game, because like you said, if they don't hit Kashtira, and there's a lot of people playing Kashtira, there's not as many people playing other decks, and then they're gonna have to tech again for like Kashtira mirror matches, and then the other decks are going to be on the rise again. It's just going to be this weird clash of everything. So
that's also a big problem, because hand traps, of course, some are really effective against Cash. But against Cash, if you play against Cash, you really want to have like spells to take stuff to break, right?
Exactly.
And you cannot do that against Samurai, super heavy Samurai, because even if you use Dark Ruler on their board, which is like only Appaloosa, Regulus,
Baron, and stuff like that.
Baron, they have like 6 hand cards or 7 and 2 skills, and have fun beating that next turn. So you have. I really hate when the format goes like, I have to prepare against Labyrinth, I have to prepare against combo deck, which always require like 2 hand traps or 3.
Yeah.
And then I have to prepare against a deck that requires spells. And you cannot fit everything in your deck. And
Exactly.
then all comes down to basically luck against what you're playing, and also, of course, how good your opponent is. But I don't really like the fact that sometimes you in a competitive environment that you have to face so many decks that goes into vastly different directions.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
that's also why many people dislike this format and this format. And they will hate the next format even more if the ban list doesn't hit certain cards that will
That's
we
true.
can like cash maybe Labyrinth, but not Labyrinth directly, but something like Skill Drain or something.
I mean, there's always Edison format. Just drop everything and play Edison. That's it. So, however, if you don't want to do that and you still want to keep listening to us talk about tech cards, please do, because the next question I have, I want to talk about like, how do you approach testing specific cards? Because right now we literally mentioned like 10 or 20 tech cards and talked about decks. And I also want to talk about you playing on DB a lot. Obviously, you did, videos about your like win streak on DB and all of that. How do you approach testing on DB? Because like the format there, literally format quote unquote, is different, and the cards you need to use and all that. And then how do you determine card quality for DB and for, I guess, real life, you could say?
So on DB, when you are at the mid level, let's say that, let's say at the start of the season when the highest guy is round about 1,200 something. I think the mid elo would be like 700, 800, something like that. You will face mostly meta. Of course, not everybody on DB will perfectly, but still you can rewatch your replays and so on, and so you will get still a decent testing experience, so you can rewatch it and see, would I have lost if he would have done this and this and this. Of course, and then you can analyze it. So that's how I approach it. I play against them, even though they misplay sometimes. I just take the replay immediately when I finish my match and rewatch it. So I can get the most of it. It's basically the same with locals, but in locals I will let sometimes my opponent repair the game state or something. If they say, "Oh, can I take it back?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I can see if I would have won or not. On DB, though, I really want to get into high ranks so I can actually play against better players. So I need to win more, of course.
Of course.
And then at the high rank, as you said, the format is really, really different than
it's unique,
than real life, because people are trying to tech so they get the points, right? Because losing at high ranked will push you 2 wins back, or sometimes 3 wins.
It's
so you have to be careful. It's really horrible. So they will tech to beat everything, and you in real life you won't play against decks that are that teched out, right? In real life you will play against people who most likely will net deck a deck and then tune it up a bit, but won't tech it so much. At that high rank you will play against teched out decks, and also play against decks that you will never face. Like when I played against in the high ranked, I always faced Drytron a few times a day, and Marine Says, and I never played against Drytron and Marine Says in the entire format in real life. So there's that. But you will also learn something plays, because they are also approach the game in a different way. They see some lines and some combos that you might not seen before. And that really helps, especially playing Sprite, because Sprite itself is really linear. It's not providing so many lines of plays, just because you are just summoning level 2s, right?
Right.
So you have to learn how to do the best lines possible, which is most of the time you have to deal with the mosquito lines, the OTK lines.
That's hard.
Because sometimes you just barely win just because of mosquito. And without that card, Sprite wouldn't be nearly that good. That card literally saved Sprite. And funny thing, when I first saw it, I thought it was shit. I really literally thought it was
no
bad.
way.
And I didn't even played it at first, and then I realized, oh, you can just OTK like
Yeah.
a big wall, like there's 5 monsters in depth, and you can OTK them suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So testing in DB, when I play ranked, I mostly concentrate on improving my plays, not my text, because you cannot really
All right.
test your text. So for testing text, the best way is always getting a testing partner or have a testing circle, and then that's always I teach my students when I coach. Take the card in your hand and draw like 4 random cards. That's like the basic thing you can do, and then you can actually test the tech card and not rely on drawing it randomly, right? So you can do like 10 games back to back and see if that card works or not. So that's how I would test tech cards, but for the most time when I choose the tech cards, I don't really have to test it, because when you play that much ranked, as I did with Sprite, I already know what I need or like what is missing. So when I decide to run like Gamma and Emergency Teleport, I didn't test it before when I played that regional. And I just knew I really need more extenders because I
Yeah.
bricked so many times. And
I
then
love that
it was
engine. I
obvious
think
for
that's
me
really
to
clever.
just include more extenders and also include a better hand trap, which
Yeah.
was Gamma.
That's really, really cool. I saw that on engine and I was like, okay, that's dope. That's dope. I messed with that. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
that was also not like original idea. Of course, it's like at the start of Sprite, everybody was playing extra extenders,
Yeah.
and Gamma and Emergency Teleport was also part of it. So it was like a core part of Sprite at the first, but people ditched it. But now I went back to it, and yeah. There were also many more players who played that engine too and had success with it. So
Yes.
I think that
That's
works
true.
quite well.
All right, so before you mentioned quite a bit actually how a lot of times content creators might keep something a secret because you are at the end of the day still a competitive player. So how do you view this conflict of interest of being a content creator and also being someone trying to do well at the game?
So as mentioned, big players like Joshua Schmidt, Jesse Cotton, they are doing great content. I also really enjoy their content because they are getting all the informations into one video. Like they are streaming, so they will go over information spreadsheets and so on, and then they will combine it in one video and with their take on the format and so on. So that's really good.
I mean, VODs are very valuable.
Yeah, they're also the VODs are really good, and I watch them sometimes too when I doing other stuff like cooking and so on. I also recommend that for everyone who wants to improve. But then again, they are not showing everything, and yeah, I did kinda when when I played Anubis, and I kinda showed everything when I make my profile about Anubis sprite and also the Melfrey sprite. And at first I thought about not showing it, but then again, when I started content creation, I really wanted to do a bit more than most content creators. But then again, I realized in the end it backfired. So there is a big conflict of interest for me and also for my team. Because of course I'm also in a competitive team.
Yes, you're also part of a team, of course.
Yeah, I'm the captain of Junk's Playground, which also means I have to keep certain information for me. But as you saw, I think I told everything about Sprite Deck, which means basically I built it alone. So I just did it. I didn't have to keep something secret. But again, I wasn't punished as hard when I started my content because not everybody was watching it, or like not everybody was knowing me playing Sprite and so on, right? For example, at YCS London, everybody knew I played Sprite.
You literally inspired YCS London, like low-key.
Yeah,
low-key, you were the inspiration behind that.
And some people were also like sitting next to me and saying, "Yo, Sprite God," and like, I mean, I don't really mind because I played for a few months. For a few months, I played open deck list, right? But they were literally announcing my deck to my opponent, which is even a punishable offense in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't care. I didn't care.
Okay.
But yeah, as you can see, it backfired a bit that people knew my deck, but it only really backfired the last regional when everybody was really prepared, especially for my list. They knew that I was playing Italy. They knew that I was playing this and that. And some regionals before even, I had people looking up my list when they saw they compared against me. They told me after the match, funny enough, that they looked my list up, and then they saw, oh, he's playing this and that, and played around it a bit. And there were also some guys who watched my profile before, and in the profile I said against this and this and this deck, I let them go first, and they knew it. So they decided to, when I could decide after game one, they decided for going first. That's one of the cases that it really backfired. So backfired 3-4 times only. Overall, I really enjoy sharing everything because I also get many messages that tell me, "Hey, your content is really great. You're helping me so much with your lines and so on because I didn't see that and that before. I didn't know how to side with the deck with this and that, and then I showed everybody. And also when people are commenting questions, I always try to answer them.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy helping, and that was also my reason to start content creation. So I think I will continue doing that. But of course, when there's really spicy stuff that includes my team, I cannot share.
Yeah, of course.
But I try my best to find the middle ground.
Yes. Okay.
I try my best to find the middle ground there, and for Sprite at least, I will go deep, and I will go to the end with Sprite. When the ban list comes and kills it, well, it will be gone. I will be happy that Sprite. I achieved so much with Sprite, but until then, I would try my best to keep people to keep providing the best Sprite list until it's dead.
All right, that's fair. But I think your stuff is very, very valuable, and I feel like you really caught the good middle ground between still keeping stuff for yourself, because probably you're not sharing everything. Why would you be? And I don't think that's an issue when a content creator, for example, plans to go to a specific tournament and then just decides, okay, after the tournament, I might share some more stuff because I maybe won't plan on playing this particular deck, or my team won't play this particular build anymore. Because what we need to realize as, I guess people that watch content is the second the content gets to us, at that point in time, the creator is already cooking up some other stuff. The creator is always going to be ahead of you. They're going to be thinking about the next format, about post-ban list, about
there's
the next
also one thing to note here. I saw that years ago. There's one thing about it. I saw it years ago when Joshua Schmidt, I think it was YCS Rimini 2017 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the finals, or he won the YCS previous to that YCS.
Okay.
And the next YCS, he played a deck that counters his winning deck. That was insane.
See?
I was like, whoa, holy shit.
That's big brain play. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, his deck was literally countering his winning deck because he knew that most people will try to attack him. And then, of course, he would just counter it. And that was insane. And I think he topped there too. So
that's what I wanted to ask you, if he did well at the next event as well.
Yeah. And then again, the YCS London, for me, for example, since I knew everybody was, if they play against me, I know that they know what I will be playing.
Yes.
I decided to run Italy, and I kept this as a secret. I told everybody who knew it, don't talk about it. Quiet. Don't tell anybody. Mm-hmm. Not even your mom. Don't tell.
Don't tell your mom about Italy. I'm not messing.
Not because of them playing outs. I don't think people would respect it so much that they will include Lingury last second. That's true. Just so they don't expect it, so they might throw hand traps at the wrong spot, right? Mm-hmm. because people knew that I was using Gigantic as a bait, which means that I can abuse that fact and just place Gigantic and use Gigantic, and they will think like, oh, I might just keep my Ash for like the Melfi
Yeah,
stuff,
because
right?
he's checking for hand traps, and then they
Yeah,
don't
then-
disrupt it.
And then they will use like the hand traps and so on other stuff. So
Yeah.
it worked once, I think, but overall, it like only working once, it's enough for me, right? So
Okay.
it won me the game, and then
That's
I can
fair.
get out Eeply, giving them the Eeply and
Yeah.
summon everything in death, and yeah, that was enough to win many games. I didn't do much, so that was me not telling everything. So I was
See.
using my old list, like as a
Zero-
groundwork. Of
yeah.
course, everybody could access it. I only changed one card, and it was Eeply, but it was so impactful that I
It
had
was
to
an
keep it for
impactful one.
myself.
For sure. I really like this. I'm really grateful you were here today. I feel like I learned a lot, just from talking to you, your approach to the game and all of that. So you are much appreciated. And I think your content is really cool. So guys, make sure to go check out his stuff, support him everywhere. I feel like there is a whole ton of valuable information there to be gained. And like I said, I'm really glad to have had you here today.
Thank you.
All right, so if you guys like this video, please make sure to like it. I will make sure to have all of Kong's socials in the description box below, so make sure to go follow him everywhere, check out all his stuff, and let us know what you thought of this episode. And of course, like the video if you did. Make sure to check in again in the next video, and I'll see you guys. Bye.
Bye.